Hey everybody, welcome to our Sunday night sessions. We're live and we got a great show lined up for you tonight. I'm Tracy Jameson along with my co-host Val Smith. We've got some special guests on with us tonight and we're going to talk about a lot of things that go on in the industry, and we're not exactly sure what the theme is tonight, but I think we've got something going on over there in Edmonton. So Val, buddy, over to you.
That's great, Tracy. I was just going to remind you. Y'all got to put that cowboy hat on. We going to do a presentation, y'all, for the Americans and all the wonderful people around the world. You've got to wear a cowboy hat because we're celebrating Rodeo Week up here in Edmonton. So, Alberta, right, Kevin? It's Alberta. That's what it is. So, anyhow, guys, we got a great panel tonight. We got Kiko all the way from the beautiful Philippines. Yay, Kiko! Woo! And Mr. Kevin McNabb in Toronto. Hey, Kev, how you doing, buddy? All right. So we wanted to do on tonight's call is have a great time, of course. We always want to have a great time first. And we kind of incorporate these calls a little bit around Organo, sometimes a lot around Organo. But tonight I just kind of wanted to go over, some of the methodologies as to the way people are building. One of the things I've always seen, and Kevin can tell you this, he's been in, well, I can't name the company, but he was a diamond in another company. And Kevin can tell you that many of the big paychecks are coming outside of North America. Yeah, there's organizations in North America, but with a lot of the major big companies that have been around for over 20, 30, 40 years, even many of the big health and nutritional companies outside of the ones that are kind of shiny ball syndrome in the United States right now, around the world, there's copious amounts of money to be made. And one of the things that I've noticed over my years in observation is that many leaders, believe it or not, Kevin, I don't know if you want to talk about this at any point, maybe you've been subjected to it, but many leaders leave North America, believe it or not. I've seen it happen in New Skin and a few other companies. They start off here and then something just doesn't work right. And that's just my personal opinion. And then what I see is, they basically find a way to migrate outside of North America, and they hit the Eastern Hemisphere where Kiko is, believe it or not. They love to hit the Asian communities, the Eastern cultural communities, different methodology, and many of those people are making copious amounts of money. I can't begin to tell you how many people alone, just on my Facebook, some of the guys that I know that are making over $100,000 a month, they're never doing events in the United States. That freaks me out. I kid you not. Now there are some doing that. Don't get me wrong, but I can name about probably about anywhere from 10 to 15 people right now that I know on Facebook that I've known for years. They're prominent speakers, and you'll see them wearing the suits, and you'll see them wearing the fur coats, and you'll see them standing in front of fancy buildings, and you'll see them standing beside Mercedes and Bentleys and stuff. And I'm not talking about Organo Gold people, believe it or not. I'm talking about other leaders in other companies. And every time I see them post on Facebook, they're running to the airport. They're actually leaving Miami or they're leaving Toronto, and they're getting on the airplane, but I never see them talking about doing events in the United States or Canada. One in particular is going to be in Russia, going to be in Australia, going to be in New Zealand, and then he's going to be back in Italy, and he's got to do that all within 4 days. That's pretty amazing stuff to see the leadership being moved around. So I just want you to be aware of that sometimes what you see on the internet can be an illusion. And many of the things, and this is not knocking the internet, it's not the internet, it's people, it's the behaviorisms, it's the mannerisms, it's a lot of the educations out there. Much of that stuff is not duplicatable. And so when you really see the big paychecks out there, like I know some people just want to make $2,000, $3,000 a month. They'll be happy with that. But for those of you that, aspire to be huge, which is what I want to do, I have no issues about making 7 figures a month. I have no issues about making, a high 6 figures a month. That'd be cool too, and to keep that consistent for many years to come. But can the average person do that on the internet? I don't know. I'll let some of these people talk about it on tonight's call. And but what I do know, the ones that are consistently making the money, they've been with a particular company for X amount of years. Could be 7 years, could be 12 years, could be 16 years, whatever it is. And these people are making an awful lot of money by putting themselves in a live event scenario or a live situational scenario where they're empowering a human being. They're definitely not waiting for automation to do it. So Kevin, before I bring you in and talk a little bit about your experience being a diamond in one of the biggest companies ever in the history of network marketing, let's talk to our good friend Kiko out there in the Philippines right now, who's a major leader, major trainer in the Philippines, has developed massive followings over the years. Kiko, what is it like in your culture? Because over here in North America, we're a little bit spoiled. We have a little bit of a different mindset. Our comfort zones are different. Talk about the culture of the Filipino people, some of the situations they deal with on a daily basis. And, it doesn't necessarily have to mean just the Filipino people. I know it happens in other regions in the Eastern Hemisphere that correlate with the region that you live in. Let us know a little bit about, why you think, from your perspective, why maybe people from North America come out to your part of the world to capitalize and find their dreams. Because believe it or not, my friend, a lot of people are living their dreams because of the great people of the Philippines, the great people of Malaysia, the great people of China, the great people of Japan, the great people, in the Asian blocs, the great people, in the Eastern European regions. And, Russia is like major for network marketing. So from your perspective, living in another side of the world, seeing it through your eyes, what does it look like for you?
Yeah, thank you, Val. Yeah, here in the Philippines, yeah, the Filipinos, we are more, we work in groups. Okay, so if you have noticed, even in how we operate, we like to create group pages. We like to create teams. Yeah, because there's a certain level of we want to work in teamwork. Okay, because we really believe in fellowship. We believe in sincerity of friendship, and you can only do that if you have a team. Okay, so that's how Filipinos work, and I have learned to understood that yeah, that's why Philippines is one of the targets for pioneering network marketing companies. They would like to get Filipinos in, because Filipinos, if you get one, you get the whole family. Okay, if you get one, you get the whole community. If that's one church, you get the whole church. If that's a school, you get the whole school. So and that's how Filipinos work. But okay, you have to at least make sure that you're doing it right. Okay, but because if somebody feels that they're being used, if they start feeling that what you're offering them is a joke and you're just using them, then one by one they go out of the door, and then the program is dead. All right, so that's what happens in the Philippines. If there's something new, everybody goes in, and when they started realizing that something wrong is happening, then somebody starts to go out and everybody goes out. All right, so sincerity and of course the quality of any product. If this is network marketing, so product quality is very important, because okay, let's face it, Filipinos, the average Filipino is not earning too much. Okay, probably a Starbucks coffee is about a day's salary of an average Filipino. All right, so if we're talking of $5, that's probably almost a day of a very average Filipino. So we have different sectors here in the Philippines. Okay, but if you can give them the value of the product, like right now, of course, I'm loving my black coffee, and it's not very cheap, but of course, compared to Starbucks, it's okay, it's cheap. But you also have cheaper brands, and it's probably 1/4 of our cost. But again,
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, just based
sure.
on what you just shared with me.
Go ahead.
This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So the average Filipino is making maybe $5 a day. So that definitely doesn't happen in Canada. That definitely doesn't happen in the United States. I think our minimum wage, like minimum wage here in Canada, well, in Alberta, I don't know if I don't even know if it's different, because I'm not into that employee type of stuff. But I think it's close to, or it will be $15 in the very near future, just because of the way the political situation is and whatnot. So $15 an hour.
Whoa.
And, well, that's, yeah, $15 an hour. So that's here in Canada. I can say in Alberta, pretty, or if not pretty darn close. So I'm sitting here thinking that, the mentality, you can understand being familiar in the comfort zone, being comfortable, and that doesn't make me comfortable. Trust you me, that doesn't make me comfortable. It's a scary thought, but $15 an hour feels pretty good, and to some people. And so the mindset here is everybody kind of lives comfortably, and if you're not making $15 an hour and you're on welfare, I think welfare here, if you're a single parent, might pay you about $1,500 a month, $1,500 a month,
Wow.
$1,200 a month, something like that. So you can live pretty damn good whether you're not making any money or not. You're definitely not going to be making $5 a day. So I think that's appalling. Number one, I just want you to know that. I don't think anyone should have to live off $5 a day. It doesn't matter what country you're living in. So I feel the situation. So, but at the same time, I would say that in the Filipino community and other communities, doesn't have to be Filipino, could be any other community even outside of the Philippines, that kind of falls in line, running parallels with what you're talking about. I'm kind of stimulated by that, believe it or not, because in marketing, one of the things I was taught is there's either two principles in marketing: why someone will buy, why someone will be motivated. It's either pain or pleasure. And I would say that a lot of people here in North America are very susceptible to being lazy, spoiled, comfortable in their mediocre mindset. They love to play the role of a victim. Don't get me wrong, they love being a victim. It's the starring role in Hollywood, being a victim, but they live very comfortably. Therefore, they're not as motivated or inspired to really get off their rear ends and develop and grow and develop personal development. Now, one of the things that I'm really impressed about, in your community, in the Filipino community, is we have many Filipino people that come to Edmonton. And you probably have them in Toronto, Kevin and Tracy, you probably have them in Vancouver. And they come here and they work hard. And they work for $12, $15 an hour as well. And so they have some privileges of being here, so they can send money back to their families and save towards building a home or eventually migrate to Canada. Now, what's my point? I'm not sure what my point is, but I do know what my point is now. It just came back to me. So here's where I'm going with that. One of the things that I really love about your people, of your country, is I'd feel safe to say, well, I better be very careful what I say. I was going to say something not to offend your people, but maybe to offend my people. But you know what? People are inspired in your country to learn two languages, and they learn the English language very well, as you've been able to do. And I have some Filipino friends here in Edmonton who are regulars, because I eat out all the time. So I have the privilege of getting to spend quality time and having fun with them. So the whole point being is I'm really impressed on the level of education they have, believe it or not, considering you guys aren't really a first world country. I'm really impressed with their level of intelligence. I mean, superior mindsets, I was going to say in some cases. And their ability to communicate is absolutely amazing. So I see all these things as great stepping stones. Learning the second language of English, or being forced to, you know what's going on in your culture. But you guys and gals are really empowered over there in the Philippines and other communities outside of the Philippines to be hungry. I really wish Canadians and Americans could be hungry instead of kick-ass, lazy-ass, broke and spoiled. Because really there's no such thing as being broke over here. When people tell you they're broke over here, oh, I'm broke, I just can't afford it, they're lying to you. There's no such thing as broke over here. The system takes care of people, and it takes care of them pretty well. And even if they want to go to jail, they'll be taken care of very well in jail. It's like a hotel in many cases for some of these people. Not all, but you know what I'm saying? It's different. It's just different. So I have a lot of admiration for what goes on in the Eastern Hemisphere. These are just my personal opinions and biases. Nobody has to believe them. But I love the fact that your people are hungry and they're motivated, and that's a huge difference when it comes to free enterprise. Wouldn't you agree, Kiko? They're hungry.
Yes. That's one of the reasons why we Filipinos would like to make it really big, and we have proven it in different aspects, different categories of life. There are Filipinos now that have climbed the highest peak, and that's why we're always inspired. We're inspired to do it, and that's how we operate. If we see a very good opportunity, And with the right leadership, the right product, believe me, Filipinos will all patronize it. And that's why I'm so excited and I'm so into this, because I really believe that this company already made a name. And of course, the CEO, Bernie Chua, is Filipino. And it also gave us that, of course, that confidence that our CEO will not let us down, because he's there, he's up there, and we're just trying to follow what they already did, and that's why this is really very exciting.
Yeah, and he really understands your people. Now talk about the methodology for building there. Like, what happens? Like, what really happens when you get involved in a business opportunity? Obviously, you've got great strengths because you're a communicator. People look up to you as being a leader. You're involved in your church, which is a beautiful thing. So people recognize you as they know you. You're not just somebody in the background. You're somebody that's usually up front. So what does it look like? What does networking look like in your part of the world? Are you guys, are all the people in the Philippines kind of sitting there in front of computer terminals all day, hanging out on Facebook and Instagram? Do they kind of isolate themselves and have lunch by themselves and dinner by themselves? Because that's a lot what happens over here. People are very isolated here because of the addiction and, you know, the habitual patterns that have been developed because of the computer. There's families that just don't eat together anymore. There's people that stay up in front of their computers. They drink coffees like I'm drinking right now, or they drink soft drinks, or they drink alcohol, and they have potato chips, and their dinner's right there by their computer. I mean, everything's there, man. Like, but do you guys still have? Is it different? Like the North American way is just, you know, it's different. Are you still engaged in groups? I mean, or have people kind of broken away in any way from the groups? Are they kind of doing the bad things that we do here in North America? And I don't mind calling them bad things. It's not to be negative. It's just, it's the truth. People have broken away from the true essence of network marketing that Kevin McNabb will talk about here shortly.
Yeah, as I said, Filipinos are very cultural, so we still really value what our forefathers have taught us, and Filipinos are into families, so they're always in groups. They go out together. They they eat meals together. We still value the family dinner, and we make sure we go out on Sundays with the family. And well, of course, life is not the same for everyone, but still, it is the family that really establishes the Filipino, not the Filipinos. Now, if you can bring a business that brings the family together, believe me, that business is going to be huge. Because Filipinos, if in their heart of hearts, although Filipinos are scattered everywhere, our main product before is our manpower, so they're everywhere in the world. But if you ask them, they want to go home. That's one of my purpose. That's one of my mission, is to at least bring them an opportunity that they can forget about the small income that they're getting from out of there and go home and spend their lives with their families. That's how the Filipinos really are. They cannot deny it, but we love families and we love groups. We want to go out on a Fridays. We want to fellowship on a Saturdays. Just groups. Nobody wants to be alone. Nobody wants to stay alone. Nobody wants to eat alone. And so the picture of the traditional network marketing and now the online marketing, well, there is a transition. So a lot of Filipinos tried online, but what I'm seeing now, they still want to meet. They still want to have that offline meetings, those fellowship meetings. So what we're trying to do now is mixing them both. We're using the online, the speed of the internet, which is very, very poor in the Philippines. By the way, we are the second poorest country as far as internet speed is concerned. The second. We only passed by, I think, Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. I forgot. But anyway, we're the second. Uh, but we can use it for communication to set up the offline meeting. So it's still working very good. And with what I'm doing with my group, I just communicate online, send videos, invite them to webinars. But of course, there should be that offline or that relationship building wherein you really have to be there for them. That's actually how it works here in the Philippines.
Well, I see that with you. I see that with you quite often. I see pictures of you with your teams. I see pictures of you with individuals around and displaying product. I see a lot of fellowship within the organization that you're developing there, and I think it's a great organization. And thank you for being a part of the team. The other thing I want to ask you is how big is the Philippines? How big is the country
Uh,
geographically?
yeah, I was absent in school, but I think we are about 70 or 80 million in population.
Did
The
you
whole
say did you say how many million?
80 million.
80 million, and it's just in the Philippines is just a bunch of small islands, and it's not as big as Russia, right?
No,
Geographically, it's a tiny little place, isn't it?
yeah,
So
very
you've
small.
got okay now. Let me take this to Kevin McNabb. So Kevin, he's got 80 million people, dude. He's got 80 million people sitting here on these small islands, and probably about out of the 80 million, maybe 17 million migrated and 20 million migrated to cruise ships and employment in other parts of the world. So Kevin, how many people are in Canada, man? We got the second largest geographical country in the world behind Russia by just a little bit. We're bigger than the United States. Canada is bigger than the United States geographically speaking. We are a mammoth, massive country. How many people, Kevin, are in Canada? Estimated.
Estimated, it's about 140, 150 million, give or take.
In Canada?
Yeah.
What about the U.S.?
Well, they're upwards around 380, 400 million.
And not all
Could be higher.
Yeah, well, we didn't count the illegal immigrants, right?
Oh no, you can't do that. We have no way of doing that. And I don't consider, by the way, I don't consider anyone illegal.
Okay, that's cool. So let me ask you this question, Kevin. What does network marketing look like for you? Talk to us a little bit about network marketing based on your experience, the crazy things that you had to do to become a diamond in the company you became a part of, and what are your experiences internationally speaking as well? What do you think?
Well, I just want to echo what Kiko said, is culture of a country is the most important thing. In the last 31 years, I've had an opportunity building in 170 countries, and I was taught right from the very beginning that the best way, with your butt in Toronto, because that's where I'm from, if you want to build in a country, you don't go to that country. You find someone in your city from that country. You build with them, and you help them go to their country. Why? Because they know the culture. Okay? And I love working with people, and this is, I don't care, because with respect to North American situations, I've built all over the place and will continue to do that. I love the work ethic. Everyone outside the country of Canada and the United States knows what it's like to have to work for a living. They want to put their head down. They see an opportunity. All they're asking for is help. And when I'm dealing with someone from North America, I'm dealing with a whole bunch of other stuff, not just help me get to where I want to go. So I love working internationally, but it is different here. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah, it makes total sense. And Kevin, I really like what you said, because the marketers that are a little bit more sophisticated, and you touched upon it. That's why I'm using the word sophistication. So obviously you got to be sophisticated, just so you know. Putting you in that category, that's a compliment. So no, really, you're right. What I think the key really is to take a look at your demographics within your city. If you really want to go big, I mean, if you're talking about going diamond and going, black diamond, the perfect example is Organo Gold. Like Organo Gold is pretty much operating like the Secret Service in Canada and the United States.
Absolutely.
They're operating, building a Secret Service team here. And that means it's quiet, right? But if you take a look at how Organo was built into over 2 million distributors now worldwide, doing over $1 billion in business, the whole idea, the whole methodology, the whole road mapping or stepping stones that were put into place was reaching into communities. And it happened where, certain individuals came in and they hit, they hit the African American community, and the African American community has all kinds of, reach to, to the Caribbean, to various different parts of the world, to many other great countries around the world. They hit the Hispanic community as well. There's a very large Hispanic group here. They hit the Asian community. Like, it's exploding in the Philippines. I mean, 40 distribution centers in the Philippines alone. I've never heard of that in my life. 40 distribution centers. And then, they're booming in Thailand right now. And then they tapped into the European market through other Europeans that had, relationships back in Italy and Turkey, and just opened Poland. So it's really amazing. You're absolutely right. You want to build it in your city, but you go after the white ethnic people necessarily? The answer, I think, is no. If here in Edmonton, I'd want to tap into the Filipino community. I would want to tap into the Japanese community. I'd want to tap into people of Chinese descent, because we want this to go out there. Why? Because the population is so small in Canada. It's very small in Canada, but when you take it into those eastern regions where the population is 80 million people in the Philippines, you got to be kidding me. That's phenomenal. Those are massive numbers. So you're thinking and you're saying, even as an online marketer, even in the online marketing world and some of the conversations I'm in, it's like, do you know anyone in China? Why? Because Organo can now operate in China. Do you know anyone in the Philippines? Do you know anyone in Singapore? Are we in Korea? I don't know if we're in South Korea.
I haven't checked, but I'll interrupt you there for a second.
Go ahead, run with it.
We have a choice in North America. We can do it strategically, or we can do it with arrogance. Now, to me, the difference is one's smart and the other one is not going to build a business at all. Okay, I don't care how good you are. And in network marketing, it's all about it's not about what works. It's what's duplicatable. So I could come up with a great strategy that works wonderfully for me. Who gives a shit? Okay? Because if I can't duplicate it, then it really doesn't matter. I can't build a massive organization with that strategy. So to put that into the real world, if I want to go into a global field, I look at the back office of what country my business happens to be working in. Then and in North America, we're in a perfect situation because every country around the world lives in our city. They're represented in large areas. And if we are smart and strategic about our business, all we do is tap into those communities. And we can do that. You don't even need the internet to do that. And matter of fact, you could do it more effectively in most cultures without the internet more than you can with the internet. Now, if you can go through your entire city, so let's go through this strategically. If you go to the back office of your company, and ours is OG, but if we go back and you look at and you find a country, and let's say let's call it Japan, I'm choosing a name, and you can't find someone from Japan in your city, then go on the internet and find someone from Japan. But if you can find someone from Japan in your city, why would you go on the internet to find them? Now, there's a bunch of leaders out there that would see different, but in the world of network marketing, there are very few big leaders. Most of them built their businesses offline and continue to build it offline. Now, they have an online component, of course, because who wouldn't tap into something that can be incredibly powerful? But that is not their core business. They still sit across from people face to face, just like Kiko was mentioning about working with groups, building with cultures. You got to figure it out. Now, I know a lot of different people. Do I know their cultures? No, I do not. I would be stupid not to elicit their help to figure out those cultures. And how was the best way would I do that? Get them involved in my business, then help them build their business in that culture. And then you go through the next country, on and on and on. And if you talk to the big leaders that have actually built in multiple countries around the world, that's how they did it. I know that because that's how I was taught to do it.
And it's so true. You gotta think about it. It's kind of like, look at it as this might not be the best example, but I'm just thinking about it as animals in a cage or animals in a sanctuary. You know, what animals are going to perform? What animals are you going to get the most action out of? And it's animals that are hungry. Animals that have been fed will be laying down in the grass, mellow under a shaded tree, and that's the North American mentality. Feed me, you know, whenever, and I'll go lay at the tree again. And, you know, that's the join mentality, right? Because when you get people joining you in a business, that means I'm production. You don't want people joining. I don't want anyone to join me in a business. Never again, because they're spectators. But, you know, when you're in an area where animals are hungry, in the wild kingdom, whatever it is, the mindset of that animal is different than the mindset of the animal that's being taken care of and nurtured and being thrown manufactured food and receiving veterinarian care for free and, you know, here, drink a smoothie, Mr. Cheetah, and all that stuff, right? But the whole point being is out in the wilderness where they don't have support structures, they don't have a sense of security. They don't know if they're going to live or they're going to die. They don't know if they're going to, you know, survive on the streets overnight, because some of these people are living out on the streets. You know, they look for a shelter. They look to sleep in a car. They look to, you know, lay on a sidewalk. They look to, you know, find some food. They look to get access to the internet for even 5 minutes. That's a different mindset than the one that's in a sanctuary being taken care of with free veterinarian care, and hey, we'll throw you half a you know, a lizard leg or whatever it is they're doing, right? They don't have to hunt. Well,
you started this call off, and you're talking about leaders that were on online social media that were posting, I'm at the airport, I'm going off to do this event, I'm going off to do this event. And what you're noticing was, yes, there are events in North America, and there's a lot of them, but there's a lot of leaders traveling the world. Well, the reason being is they go where the fire is, you know, and that's, you know, so if the fire happens to be in their city, awesome. It costs them less to help to build. But if it happens to be in a country around the world, that's where they're going. They would love for it to be North America. And we have all the opportunity under the sun right here. But we have a mentality issue. We have a status issue. It's a disease called status. And where that doesn't really happen in other countries around the world. And I love working with folks from around the world. Why? Because they just put their hand up and say, I understand, please help me. That's all you got to do. And when you say, okay, what I need you to do is step 1, 2, and 3. And do you know what they actually do? It's the funniest thing. It's going to seem very odd to North Americans. They actually do step 1, 2, and 3. And then they call you and say, I'm done step 1, 2, and 3. What do I do next? Whereas in North America, if you tell them to do step 1, 2, or 3, the phone never rings. Now, obviously, I'm generalizing, but we're talking a global situation here. So if I had 1,000 people from around the world, I can guarantee you who's building the business. Now, if they happen to live in North America, I'm going to guarantee you that they're recent to North America. They're just hungry.
Yeah, as you were painting that picture, I was just visualizing. Kiko, I got a question for you. If I were to fly to the Philippines and I were to get off a plane and I got in front of a bunch of Filipino people and I said to the Filipino people, I said, I will give every single one of you $10 US for showing up to an event tonight where I want to share some information with you that could be the financial breakthrough that you've all been looking for. I kid you not, I can show you how to find that financial independence you've all been looking for, so your life will be a whole lot better for you and your family for years to come. And I'm willing to pay you $10 US to come to that event. Do you think anyone would show up if I did that as a white guy coming into your country?
Yes, Val. Everyone will be there. Definitely yes. Yeah. Yeah, even if
Now,
you offer them free meals, even without the $10, just tell them it's free dinner. Everybody will be there.
that's and you see, Kevin, Tracy, that's beautiful. That's network marketing, you know, and that's humanity. And here in North America, we've lost, I think, the humanitarian approach to network marketing. It's become very cold, very isolated. It's become very predatorial in many ways on the internet. People selling their stuff, selling things people don't need, you know, but they're hyping it up. I mean, how many training courses do you have to buy? Tracy, you and I talked a little bit earlier. Yeah, how many training courses? Why do we have to keep buying the upgrades to this guy's training course? I mean, I'm seeing these guys, they talk about these things like they care about people, but the truth is they care about money. And it just seems that a lot of that, in my experience, comes from North Americans being very predatorial, but trying to act as though they're like Gandhi delivering a course when they're far from it. So Tracy, we talked a little bit about, you know, the topic for tonight. We talked about fundamentals. What do you think about us having to get back to fundamentals as opposed to totally, you know, 100% focused on internet training courses? I mean, sure, we need internet training courses. You want to learn how to generate leads, but, you know, what happened to the humanitarian side? What happened to the, you know, the communicative side? Who's teaching communication skills? Who's teaching people how to talk? Who's teaching people how to communicate? Who's teaching people how to use the English language? I mean, how many bloody autoresponders does a guy need?
Yeah, and Kevin said something really pertinent, that it was about you know, the fundamentals, of course, and about the family unit. Kiko talked about the family unit, and I think that's kind of what's happened in North America. I know, you know, specifically here in Canada as well, that the family unit has really broken apart. Nobody gets together for dinner. I know, Kiko, you talked about that. It's very important for your family to sit down and enjoy the family time together. Here, everybody's running around at different times, you know, throw something in the microwave for dinner while somebody else is running out the door to do something else. You know, people are working 2 or 3 jobs. And like you said, Val, I mean, the standard of living is very high. People their wages are pretty decent, and yet people are still saying that they're broke. But they're not like hungry. They're not doing anything to change the situation. They've become very complacent about their lifestyle. They don't like it, but they're not going to do anything about it. So the pain and pleasure part, there's no pleasure, but the pain isn't severe enough for them to do anything about it. And I think that in the online world that we've become very attracted to here, especially in the Western culture here, the texting. You can't even get anybody to, even though they have a cell phone, they won't even pick it up to make the phone call anymore. They'll text you. And of course, then the inflections and the conversations can be taken so very differently. People don't understand. You send a text, it can be taken 2 or 3 different ways. You know, you can say, hey, whatever the conversation is. You know, you could offend somebody, whereas you were trying to actually, you know, be nice to somebody, but they took it a different way. So the art of the communication, absolutely. I think that is something, that is the #1 key, of course, in network marketing, that you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to understand where people are at, what they want, why they want it, where they want to go, because it's not about me, it's about everybody but me. And the network marketing fundamentals I was taught, like you guys, obviously you guys have been around for a long time in this industry, and I think that that's definitely something that we need to go back to and retrain it or train it. I think there's a lot of people that don't even know that because they've come into network marketing, or what they think network marketing is really affiliate marketing on the internet. So they don't understand that whole the family unit, the colony kind of mentality that it takes to be able to work together. It's you and I doing this together. It's not here's my link, go sign up, see you later, I'm going to go help somebody else, basically put money in my pocket. That's kind of, I think, the mentality that people have a perception of what network marketing is now, and I think that we need to sort of go back and get to the fundamentals. We need to go and you know, get a little stern with people and say, that's, if you want to do it, this is what you need to do. Kevin, you're right. Here's step 1, 2, and 3. People, it needs to be so simple, and we've gotten so complicated with all of these programs and learning how to do funnels and capture pages and autoresponders, and people get lost for weeks and weeks and weeks in these programs learning how to do all this stuff, where we were taught back in our day is, you learn, you do, you teach, and you do all 3 at the same time. That's how you make money in this business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry, Kevin. I'll let you crank it. I just got to get this thought out of my head here. I'm listening to all of this, and I'm in 100% heart and soul committed to saying, yeah, you're absolutely correct. I'm trying to get this whole thing about this online world, like Kevin, you talked about duplication, and these systems and stuff like that. And the message to people on the internet is just get involved with the program. Take your money and join us now. And then what you do in order to get started is you plug into the system. Now, what on God's earth does that mean? I mean, I understand that intellectually being stupid, but intellectually being smart, I don't understand that. You know what I mean? Just get plugged into the system. All the letters are there. I mean, come on. Why are we lying to people? Like, what's going on? I mean, the person that runs the system, the 3 or 4 leaders that are doing the live events, communicating, even though they say, oh, it's the automated system, but they're still doing Periscope. They're still doing Hangouts. They're still doing webinars. They're still putting videos on out there. They're not hiding behind. They've still branded themselves in a physical element. They're using their vocal cords. They're using their physical appearance. But yet they're still lying to people out there and saying, you can do this. But you don't have to duplicate me. You don't have to stand out and be on stage or be in front of a Periscope camera or be in front of a Hangout or be in a webinar. You can still be, Joe Blow or, Silent Susie, but just use our marketing system and, spend monthly auto ships and spend to join. And then, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, send me $59.95 a month to use this marketing system, but just stay with it for 3 to 5 years and keep sending me this money and support my cause. And then what I need you to do is come and see me at the event, speak and all that stuff, and let me show you how great I really am. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Kevin, go for it, man.
You're on a roll, and I totally understand it. It's our choice of words has always gotten us in trouble in network marketing. Some people go, oh, it's semantics. No, it's not. First of all, some people refer to this as an industry. It is not an industry. It's a profession. You choose to be in it. You either decide to be, Eric Worre made it very, very good. I love what Eric Worre has done, but not all. Okay, and I know Eric. There are certain things. You want to be an amateur, you want to be a poser, an amateur, or a pro. You got a choice. But if you're going to do it, and you're a pro, then you're not in an industry anymore. That's not a semantics thing. Okay, it's a choice. This whole shiny object thing that we have all fallen into, and I've been guilty of it as well, but when I fell into it, I actually had a business. So it didn't really impact me, let alone the people that don't have a business and they're trying to figure out all this crap. And it's a lot of crap. So, yeah, we have to go back to pure fundamentals. And, the only thing that works is, it doesn't matter what works in network marketing, it's what duplicates. And we do have a system. But it's not autoresponders, and it's not technology. It happens to be about how to talk with an individual. It has to be about relationship building. It has, and you start with that. Because if you don't have that, the rest of it's crap. Okay? They may get in. They may join you. They might even order from you. But how long are they going to stay? And it's not about, getting the order in. It's the longevity of that customer, the longevity of that distributor. And can I take that person to the next level? We promise people to change their lives. But as soon as we get their money, we run. That's not what we do. That's what people have led us to believe on the internet, but that's not what this industry is about. I mean, there's way too much money being distributed. $200 million on a daily basis goes into network marketing distributors' hands. $200 million a day. So for the people that don't think we're not sure whether it works or not, $200 million a day is pretty good. Okay? But we have to learn to quit lying to people. We have to learn to quit hyping people. We have to be ethical about what we do. Okay? And that's a choice. I personally live by the golden rule. And that is cross-cultural. Doesn't matter what faith you come from, it's cross-cultural, and it actually means exactly the same thing. Just treat others the way you want to be treated. End of story. When do you do that? On every transaction. What else do you do that? On every communication. When else do you do that? Every single time. You will make more money, more friends, build bigger businesses long term. But it starts with just be honest with somebody. That's all. It's really simple. You don't need everybody in your business. You don't want everybody in your business.
Yeah, that's so true. And it starts from the top on down too, Kevin. It starts from the company on down. So it's very important to be aligned with that company so it can set the tone for that type of culture. And I'm in total agreement with that. I'm wondering, is anyone noticing any changes? We've seen the hype. We've seen the smoke and mirrors. We've seen the facades. We've seen the different forms of parasitic manipulation by various different marketers out there, and unfortunately, much of it, in my opinion, comes from North America. But are we seeing any change? Is anyone noticing any change? Is anyone noticing any change from leaders? Because the biggest problem, it's got to come. Well, obviously, I talked about companies, but I think leaders need to. Need to take a stand and set the tone. I think there's been a lot of weak leadership from ever since the beginning of social media to about 2014, mid-2015. I think leadership, although there's great leaders out there, don't get me wrong, I'm talking about leaders that just make their presence on the internet and don't get on planes and fly and empower and communicate and have face-to-face or do what Kiko does in the Philippines. I think internet marketing has been very predatory and very manipulative and very damaging. Not all right? There's some really great stuff out there, and there's some great people out there. There's no question about it. But I'd say the majority of it has been very, not about giving. It's a bit about taking. Has anyone seen a shift just in any of the leadership that you've observed on Facebook yet? Kevin, have you?
Personally, I'm gonna change your dates a bit. I mean, since the inception of the true internet marketing back in 2003, 2004, it's gotten uglier year after year after year, including up until we getting on this call. we have a social issue, okay? Yeah. But I know you were going for responsibility. I will never hang the responsibility of actions on a company, ever, except for their actions. A leadership is all about us. We have to make the choice. So my personal commitment is I'm not going to do it. Then I'm going to teach people not to do it. And I'm going to help them teach others not to do it. And over my lifetime, I'm hoping to change this profession. But that's the way I'm going to do it, because I cannot expect any company to come down on it. It's never going to work. It's been around for so long. They've tried, and it's never worked. Okay. All we can do is train these people either to come on board or get out of the profession. That's my personal belief. So that was my methodology.
Yeah, no, those are great points. I totally dig it, and maybe that's why in the conversations I have with Shane, maybe that's why leaders in North America, believe it or not, there have been some very interesting leaders in North America that have come to Organo Gold. They only lasted 2 or 3 months, although they had big reputations. Maybe that's why Organo's so successful, is they found a way of eliminating potential toxicity by the methodology they choose to operate. When you take a look at a company like Organo, they have very little internet presence other than, you know, you don't see big marketing systems with Organo. You don't see, you know, people out there busting their butts every day marketing Organo. You see them doing all the other stuff. But there's been some leaders, questionable leaders that have come into Organo with big reputations from the internet and stuff, and they don't have the skill set to do this. They have the skill set to be, you know, parasitic and manipulative, but they didn't have the skill set to build a business here. And they have all their excuses and reasons why and stuff like that. But, you know, but when I see really what's going on around the world, it's, you know, and with what Shane's doing and leadership's doing, they're flying here, they're flying there. Shane's flying to Vancouver tomorrow, for example. You know, he just got off a cruise ship yesterday in Miami, flew back home to, you know, Toronto, and that leaves for Vancouver, and then God only knows going to Mexico. And so these guys are constantly, you know, on the go, and it's very little time on the internet. But I'm not here to bash the internet. The internet's a fabulous tool. It's just how people have used the internet to. Do
you think this is kind of just, you know, it's a question, maybe it's a statement. I think that our age has a lot to do with it, because I've said to you, Val, that you know, I'm not going to be 80 years old pitching another deal. I think that it's an era that's kind of maybe run its course to a certain degree. I mean, it's always going to be there, and there's always going to be people, the predatory part of it as well. You know, people, I think it's harder to do, we've watched this with companies. I mean, it may not be the fault of the company itself, but they don't, all the regulatory bodies are making it so much more difficult to do anything. So companies fold up, you know, with merchant accounts and all that kind of stuff. So they are tightening, all of those boundaries are being tightened up considerably. So, I mean, with our sort of you know, we had to kind of go through a mind shift ourselves, right? You and I did, you know, because I've been working online for several years, 10, 15 years, you know. So all of this stuff, I think, has taken a shift now. I think that when we were talking to a lot of the leaders, that they were getting away from the internet and going back to sort of the, if you want to say it, the traditional or fundamentals. And I honestly think that that's a shift that you know, we're vocal about it. So, you know, maybe there's a lot of people that are just have got that mindset anyways. But I think you and I are a little bit more vocal about it, right?
Yeah, we've been definitely more vocal about it. I agree with you too. And there's some older veterans like us on the line that, you know, hopefully it's wisdom, and it comes across as wisdom, because some people that are going to be watching this presentation, they won't get it. They won't get it until they get it. Like Tracy says, they won't get it until they get it, and they'll think we're just being negative or whatever it is. It's not about being negative. It's about having integrity, and a lot of people still don't even understand what integrity truly is. They think they're demonstrating integrity, but in a lot of cases, they're not, and it's evident just in their actions, and actions speak volume. I wanted to say something, and I kind of lost my thought because I have too many thoughts going on in my head with this. Kiko, any thoughts, Kiko? I know you've been quiet there for a little bit. What are your thoughts about hearing this? Because you're seeing this from a North American side. We're in North America, man, and you're not.
Yeah, actually, first I have to correct myself. The population of the Philippines by 2013 is almost 100 million. That's 2013 figures. Okay. Yeah, and I think what's really happening right now, even here in the Philippines, is there's just too many programs running. As I speak right now, a lot of programs are focusing on money, and they were able to tap into this need of the third world countries, that if you promise money, people will just come in. And you make money, you put in money to make money. So that's what they're promising. You put in this much, you don't have to work, and you just wait, and we do the work. But it's not happening, and I've seen it happening here in the Philippines as I speak. And what I'm really trying to do is just to make an appeal and just to bring it back to the basics, because it's really what's working, the basics. And I have been following actually Eric Worre about 20 years ago when I started network marketing, and it's still the same old boring strokes that works. Okay, but unfortunately, not all the great leaders here in the Philippines are on the internet, because they don't believe in the internet, because they know what works. They know that it's not working on the internet. That's why you don't even see them on the internet. But the word predators, those who try to manipulate, they are on the internet because it's faster to get the communication out. And that's what's damaging the industry here in the Philippines. And it's going to be work for me, but I'm excited because I know I'm on the internet, but I also have my hand offline. And of course, being part of you, and I'm so privileged and honored to be a part of this group because we are one in this purpose and this mission to at least bring back the right network marketing where it was before. And I just want to invite all those professional network marketers to at least say something online because a lot of people are following online right now.
And that's a beautiful thing. And I've always said I think the internet is a very, very powerful tool, but I think the most powerful tool in the universe is you. It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. Everybody's looking externally for that powerful tool to take them to the promised land. But you know what? The most powerful tool is Tracy. It's Kevin. It's Kiko. It's the people in the Philippines. People. It's the people. People create the action. It's not the internet doesn't create the action. The internet is there. And then we make it move. And so I've always said to people, and I could be wrong, everyone's got their own personal opinions about it, and people are going to say, oh, they said, we're going to have those type of people there too, right? But you know what? I use the internet as a form of making a connection with another human being. And the first thing I do with somebody, as I get into multiple communications with them, it might take 6, 7, 8 communications, and then, it might take one. And the first thing I want to do is I say, look, can I give you my phone number, or would you mind if we had a conversation by the telephone? I really don't wish to be typing any longer. I find this very impersonable, and I'd really like to get to know who you are, what you're all about, and what services you perform out there on the internet. And it's about bringing people from the internet into a conversation. And I think that's why Hangouts are created. Because just imagine if we didn't have Hangouts, we didn't have conference calls, we didn't have webinars, we didn't have video. Look how terrible it would suck. I'll give you it in 60 seconds, Kevin. Look how. I mean, this industry would totally suck. It would be totally like isolation. We'd all be living in like igloos trying to communicate through smoke signals on the internet without any form of touch, feel, smell, touch, video. What does he look like? What does she look like? Who's that behind the computer? All this isolation. So anytime somebody tells you can make millions of dollars isolating yourself, and for the Americans, they'll love this because they think all us Canadians live in igloos and we drive snowmobiles and stuff. That's not our world, man. We there's a little bit more to Canada than that, but we don't operate that way in business either. So I'm sharing that with you to open your mind. Utilize the internet as a tool to make a connection, to reach out to somebody. Hey, Kevin, can we have a conversation? Guy might say, well, what do you want to talk to me about? Do you pitch me on a business? No, I just want to find out who you are, what you're all about, and what services you're performing out there on the internet. That's what I do with people. It's not about me. I don't need to pitch anybody on any deal. I'll let my being, my physical being, my form of communication on the telephone or a Skype call or a video call do the job. I don't need to defend anything now. I know how strong I am as a communicator on Skype or on the telephone, and by the time that person has that time with me discovering their services, what they're all about, they're going to know they're talking to somebody that's very valuable as a stepping stone in their life to get them to where it is they want to go, because I have more to offer them than they probably have to offer me by the time that conversation's done. But if I don't get that conversation into play, all the typing in the world, as Tracy said earlier, people have different perceptions of what you said in typing, but that's not really what I meant. Typing doesn't justify anything but stupidity, I think. And so that's why I think it's really important for people to get together, husbands and wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, sons, daughters, teachers, parents. That's the reason why I go to teacher parent. night at the school to talk, to meet face to face, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball with the teacher. Now, tell me about my daughter. Tell me about my son. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Don't send that to me in an email because I'll chew you up and spit you out if I take it the wrong way. Now I understand you. Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely. And for the folks out there, they're going, oh, they're bashing the internet. No. Hear it out. In Val, you've touched on it. You use the internet to make the initial connection. Once you've made the connection, you take them offline to have a communication. That's where it all happens. You build the rapport, you build the relationship, you identify their needs. Because you don't know whether you even have a solution to their needs until you figure that out. And then at that point, once you've got them that they're interested and you have a solution, you can then go back to an online presentation, a webinar, using the technology, but you got to use the concepts and not the tactics to run your business. The internet is a tactic. It's not a concept. And what we need to go back to are the original concepts. Now, Tracy had made a comment, we've been using the word network marketing, and we all use it, and sometimes it gets us in trouble, and it's misunderstood. So let's change it to marketing distribution. Okay? Now, because people forget the networking part and only hear the marketing part. But what we really do is we network and we distribute the product. We network with people, we distribute the product. That's all we do. So if you took the marketing out, we probably would get in less problems, because marketing is a tactic. We build our businesses by word of mouth advertising. Word of mouth advertising was around long before the internet. Will probably be around long after it becomes something else other than the internet. But it's communication. That's word of mouth, not using just the internet. And that's where a lot of people get sucked into. All you need to do is buy that really glossy, shiny object called my internet course, and the lead's going to come through my front door and go through all these mechanisms on the internet where I never talk to them, and they're going to come out and they're going to get into my business, and they're going to go off and build a massive organization. Not going to happen in your lifetime. Now, if you happen to find one person that is so freaking motivated that they'll go through all the bullshit and find their way through, and you fool yourself thinking that it was your system that did it, well, then you're really fooling yourself. And you've got no rapport with them. Good luck trying to help build their business with them. You don't even know who they are. You don't know their phone number, their first name, their needs, any of that.
And Kevin, you know what? Really good point too, because not everybody's a fit. And I think that's that sort of affiliate marketer kind, like you throw the net out and get everybody, and then see what sticks in it. Where, I mean, it's completely different mentality altogether, because you have to. I mean, some people just are not a fit. They're not a fit for you. They're not a fit for the business. Maybe down the road, maybe they'll be a great customer. Maybe not. So, people think that everybody, you got to pitch your business to everybody. You know what? You might get off the phone and say, you know what, that was really great. It's just not a good fit. So, people have to, and I think that comes from a power position when you've been in the business a little bit longer, because, people when they're first starting out think, they got to talk to everybody, they got to get everybody, and everybody's got to be, it's on their radar. And I think that you can, when you get a chance to relax a little bit, that you are a little bit more choosy about the relationship, the business relationship, because you just don't sign them up and then expect people to go do what they're going to do. That person, you're going to be working with that person maybe for the next 20 years. And if you really can't stand each other's guts, then what was it all about in the first place, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, people have to think about that. It really is a sifting and sorting. It's not about going and signing up 140 people. It's about hand selecting a half a dozen or 10 or 15 people that are quality, that you get along with, that you can work with, you can strategize together. But you know what? You might want to go out and have a game of golf with them too. So, there's that whole mentality that gets lost in this sort of, fundamentals as well, right?
Absolutely, and it's because we lead with money. As a profession, we make the mistake of leading with money. A lot of people aren't looking just for the money. They're looking for a community. They're looking for a problem other than money in their life that they need a solution for that perhaps network marketing can solve. And then again, maybe not. So you don't want everybody in your business at all. I'm guilty of it. I was at the very beginning. I was trying to get, the word keyword, get everyone. We don't get anyone in this business. If you're trying to get people, stop right now. If you do anything, don't do anything, or you're trying to get people, don't do anything. Okay? At least you can be trained to go do it the proper way. Okay? And that's what our role is as leaders, is to step in and say, okay, relax. You're at the beginning, and I know you need this solution in your life. Let's go through it methodically. And it works a lot better. Slow means fast in a lot of cases. So.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and then I think we pretty much can close this call up. It's getting past the hour. But you know what? I was just going to say, Kevin, you said it beautifully there, but the product can never be money. I mean, the product is money, but it can never be money. You see everyone flashing dollar bills and, this and that. I mean, we're all stimulated by money because money is the fuel that gives us the lifestyle. But selling money, number one, gets us all into trouble. And number two, selling money definitely leads to short term. It really, really is. So, you've got two worlds out there. You've got the world that will sell money, and they'll, that'll be like many of the people on the internet, they'll love that. And that's cool. I dig it. But I'm just saying, if you're chasing strictly money, just know this, that it's going to be like Wall Street. It's going to be deal after deal after deal after deal after deal, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. If that's where your mindset's at, and you're a hustler and you want to do that, and you just want to crank through as much action as you can and not worry about ramifications, I get it. Trust me, I get it. We've been there, done that. But if you're looking for something long-term, strategic, generational, that's when you get serious about people, relationships, and focusing on the common goal. And that's to empower communities to have a better lifestyle. And Kevin was right. It's all about community. It is. And I think Kiko was sharing that message with the 100 million people in the Philippines, a small little island. I mean, those people are looking for community and tribes, and as Tracy said, colonies before. And that's why the really smart intellectuals that are sitting back looking at a first world, two world countries, Canada and the United States, they like living here because life is good, but they don't like building here. And the proof is in the pudding. You always see them at the airports exiting and leaving. And there's got to be a reason why they're doing that. But they always come back home with their Ferraris and their mansions and Lamborghinis and, their millions of dollars of networking, and they have the biggest organizations in the world, but they're not worried about North America. They'll talk about North America and say, hey, you know what, maybe one day, but they're not even thinking about North America. They don't go to bed thinking about North America. North America doesn't matter anymore. And I don't think it did. When you figure it out, I don't think it does. I mean, it'd be nice, don't get me wrong, but when you're making $500,000 a month or $300,000 a month, are you going to come home and think about North America? No, you're going to go right back to the 80, 90 million people. You're going to go back to the 120 million people there. You're thinking about China, over 1 billion people. Who wants to go back to North America with, 500 million people here? That's nothing. It's not necessary is what I'm saying. It'd be great, but it's not necessary. So, Tracy, you want to close her up? Final
Time
thoughts?
for people to wake up. So thanks. Looks like Kiko had to bug out there, but great session, you guys. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Val. And thanks to all our listeners as well. Sunday night sessions, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.